Hey guys, what's up? It's Drew here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Twilight Oath sniper rifle, the curated roll of this. And funny enough, I've had this curated roll for quite some time now, but I didn't really think anything of it until someone on my stream mentioned that I should try it out and use it, and now, well, it's one of my favorite sniper rifles. For those of you that don't know, the Twilight Oath is a rapid-fire sniper rifle, which means it fires at 140 RPM, and it has 55 impact, so that's the lowest impact for a sniper rifle. So against a full health Guardian, it can't double body shot kill, it's a triple body shot kill. As you'd expect from any sniper though, it does kill in one shot to the head, so that's 301 damage for a critical hit, and 93 damage to the body. Snipers are ideally, of course, that one-shot instant kill, but in the event that you may miss or you hit a body shot, you'll have 0.43 seconds between shots with this archetype. In terms of stats, the Twilight Oath has 65 stability and 59 recoil direction, 30 range and 70 target acquisition, 73 handling and 62 reload, and with this curated roll you get a handling masterwork. Of course, that's included in the handling stat. I don't really have much to say about the stats on this sniper. It's got high handling and aim assist, good reload, and good stability and recoil direction. It's got the right stats and high stats in the places that you want it to be, and that's mainly handling and aim assist. Of course, it might not be the highest values of any weapon, but it's plenty sufficient, and to me, I'd regard it as top tier. Good stability and recoil direction aren't perhaps necessary on a sniper or as valuable as some other stats, but I don't think there's something completely useless either, especially on a rapid-fire sniper, and this somewhat helps for shooting and maintaining decent crosshair positioning. I think reload speed has become a more important stat now, as you'll be picking up a lot of ammo bricks, and as a result, reloading often, so having a good reload speed helps maintain your flow in your gameplay, so that reloading doesn't become annoying or prevents you from being in the fight. So I guess as much as it's not an incredible reload stat, I think it was fast enough that it wasn't detrimental, and kind of felt nice to have. As much as this weapon doesn't really have any stats that are best in class per se, I think it has a good distribution of just really good stats across the board, which makes this weapon really reliable and doesn't seem to be lacking in any area, well, other than range. The only concerning area about this weapon stats is its range. It's pretty low. 30 range is definitely on the low end, and it might sound odd to be concerned about that on a sniper, but to my knowledge, aim assist is only as good as the range stat. The range stat dictates how far out it stays persistent and strong and noticeable. Obviously, with that low 30 range, although you have high aim assist, you can assume that it's not going to reach out very far, which I think was noticeable on some lanes and some maps. Now, being a curated roll, let's talk about the perks on this weapon. This is probably the most interesting and important thing about it. So we get Chambered Compensator. This increases stability, moderately controls recoil, and slightly decreases handling. We have Steady Rounds, which greatly increases your stability at the expense of slightly decreasing your range. We have Snapshot, which gives you very fast time to aim down sights. And lastly, Box Breathing, which gives you bonus range and precision damage after aiming in for a short time. Chambered Compensator and Steady Rounds aren't exactly the most ideal barrel option and mag perk. I mean, normally I'd advocate for the best range possible for the best bullet magnetism and essentially more forgiving headshots, and neither of these really improve range. In fact, Steady Rounds, like I said, decreases it and results in what could be the lowest range sniper in Destiny 2. On a random roll, I think you'd want perks that increase range and reload speed or maybe magazine size. I think I understand what Bungie was going for with this curated roll though. Stability and good recoil direction is good for dumping shots very quickly on a rapid fire sniper, especially for boss DPS and PvE, and I guess it's not terrible to have for follow-up shots in PvP. Still though, in my opinion, this is not the most ideal combo for PvP, but I guess it's reasonable for PvE. Snapshot is the highlight perk. It's the entire reason to be wanting or using this curated roll of the Twilight Oath. Snapshot is an incredibly valuable perk on snipers for PvP, allowing you to ADS near instantly, and guess what? Twilight Oath can't roll with Snapshot other than on this curated roll, so if you're looking for a good roll of this for PvP, most likely you're going to want Snapshot, which makes this curated roll very desirable. Snapshot isn't bad for PvE, it's nice to have, although not a necessity, but it does have some sort of synergy with box breathing. Since you're able to aim down faster, it means you get to be able to get box breathing sooner. Let's talk about box breathing now though. This perk at first glance is pretty useless in PvP, and for those of you that might think that, you're for the most part right. I'm sure many of you know that this offers a lot more purpose in PvE though. In PvP, I was surprised to see it have a bit more utility than I imagined though, because the range increase was pretty noticeable at times. It's not something that I can totally quantify or show you guys, but on some maps with longer sightlines, I'd say like Midtown or that new map Equinox, headshots felt far less forgiving and almost occasionally random, like I'd hit the head and it would count as a body shot. And with the very low range stat and that very low range scope on the sniper that we'll talk about soon, it almost felt necessary to activate box breathing at times to make up for that lack of range, and I can actually see how this was the way the curated role was maybe designed to be used. You get good to even very good stats in pretty well every category on this weapon other than range, in which with this perk, you get to get the range when you want it or when you need it. Not that I was expecting it to, but I was still disappointed to see that even box breathing didn't provide enough damage to one headshot someone in their super, and I think between this and high impact snipers, that just needs to change. Otherwise, the damage increase in PvP is pretty meaningless. In PvE though, and taking a bit more of an in-depth approach to the perk, it takes 1.25 seconds, give or take, to activate, and against Kali in the raid, it took my damage from 31,837 to 41,551, which is roughly 1.3 times damage. If you were to wait to activate box breathing for every shot in the mag, for all 6 bullets, it would take you about 7.5 seconds to fire one mag, and that'll total 249,306 damage in that 7.5 seconds. Firing normally at max rate of fire, not waiting for box breathing on each bullet, you can empty a mag of 6 bullets in just about 2.15 seconds. And doing that allows you to get 191,022 damage, again not waiting for box breathing, in 2.15 seconds. So that is nearly, I want to say like 3/4 of the damage in less than half the amount of time. So do I think it's worth waiting for box breathing every shot? Totally not. However, we're not thinking about this very practically. We're assuming that you're going to be able to fire a rapid fire sniper perfectly, max rate of fire, hitting precisions 100% of the time, and there is always human error, so that's not always going to be possible. Against some bosses, you really can do that, and it is possible, but in all scenarios, I wouldn't say so. What's good is that it doesn't really take long for box breathing to activate, so personally, I would try and empty and dump as many shots as precision hits as possible as quickly as you can. But if you happen to wait that just over a second simply while trying to line up your shot, well, I mean, you're gonna get bonus damage to kind of make up for the time you lost in a way, I guess. I think the most efficient way to be using box breathing on this sniper though, against a boss where you can dump shots and more often than not hit precision shots, is just wait for box breathing on the first shot and then dump your mag. And if you do that, you'll get the bonus damage on the first shot and it'll boost your damage to about 200,736 from 191,000. Another massive highlight, and for many this might be the highlight of this sniper, would be its scope. The sniper scope is potentially the most attractive feature or biggest reason to be using it in my opinion. Previously, Darcy, Whisper, Silicon Aroma, and now the Supremacy joining them have had the lowest zoom scopes available on a sniper. Now though, Twilight Oath is the only sniper with a lower zoom than any of those snipers, making it the lowest zoom scope in the game. Typically, lower zoom scopes are favored among players for more viability in close or mid-range scenarios, which are quite common on Destiny maps. Rarely are you really taking advantage of a higher zoom level because most maps tend to support close to mid-range combat most, and even the longer sightlines don't really quite warrant using a higher zoom most of the time. Lower zoom also means you get a higher field of view when scoped in, which allows you to keep track of a target better while in your scope, and you have less area to cover or distance to travel with your reticle when aiming or following a target and dragging your scope. I also think that the lower the zoom, the less drastic sniper flinch appears to be, but that's purely based on feeling and speculation. Keep in mind though that a zoom level changes where your range drop off starts from, and this is the case with any weapon, not only snipers. So with a very low zoom and a very low range basically means what we have is a short range sniper, if that makes sense. And you'll probably feel the lack of range on some maps and scenarios, but as I said, it's less likely than the close quarters you'll encounter pretty regularly. So to me, this is one of the best snipers in the game. If you're looking for a sniper in the energy slot, this is simply the best in my opinion. It's got a very low zoom scope, the lowest in the game, which makes it super versatile and great for the majority of engagements on Destiny maps, which are usually close quarters, and it's still plenty adequate for the majority of lanes on maps that you'll be playing on. It's got high aim assist, so it's pretty forgiving and reasonable to be hitting headshots the majority of the time. It's got Snapshot, which again is only possible on this curated role, and is, in my opinion, a necessity for snipers in PvP. And for the one place it lacks, that very low range stat, you have box breathing, so if you need that range, you have a means of getting it, which is pretty great and a pretty clever way to make up for a lack of a stat. In PvE, I think the low zoom scope remains an advantage. That, combined with a high stability and pretty predictable recoil pattern, allows you to just dump your mag faster and land precision hits more easily while doing so. And of course, box breathing is just an ideal perk to have in PvE on a sniper for that bonus damage. So again, for those reasons, I think this is a top tier sniper for PvP and PvE. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you are new here, I would greatly appreciate if you could subscribe. And if you guys are interested, I'm putting a lot more time and effort into my Twitch stream, and I've been making sure to stream daily. So if that's something, again, that you might be interested in, the link's in the description. I'd greatly appreciate if you can check that out. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. It's Midri today, and I'll catch you guys later. Thanks.